Welcome to Mindful Live number 47. Tonight is the 2nd of March. I was going to say February, It's the 2nd of March already. Wow. The year is just running away with us. While we speak of killing time, time slowly kills. Well, actually, not slowly, quickly kills quite a few of us. Welcome to Mindful Live number 47, fresh out of February. And February seemed like a heavy month. February had quite a bit. And I was looking over on Twitter and I saw someone compile some of the tough stuff that Trinidad faced over in February. Keishan Haynes, a reporter over there. Migrant baby shot, blackout, no prison commissioner, missing divers, no carnival. Kitisha Kojo, the gate that fell on the child. It was the children, actually. The child who died in the fire, the fatal jewelry store heist, the fire in the bamboo. Tragedy seems like it abounded in February, especially now culminating in these 4 divers that died. And the one, even though the one survived, they said that every time he remembers the incident, he's in tears, and I'd expect so. And he may already have some other effects and after effects from being in those conditions for that length of time. So all of them faced tragedy. There, it's quite a month. It was quite a month. And sometimes I wonder, because I read a lot of news. I do read a lot of news. And I wonder sometimes which is that. Is it that the world itself is really getting that much crazier? Or is it that the world is getting that much more interconnected? And because of that, now you know about things that may have always been occurring and you just probably never knew about it before. Sometimes I wonder which is it. It was always this crazy, and it's just that many people weren't paying attention to every single thing that occurred miles and miles away from them. Or is it really getting a lot crazier? And someone says both. Recreate 2020 says both in the chat there. And to be honest, I think it's kind of that too. And I wonder if one actually fuels the other also. So it is getting crazier, but also we are seeing the craziness more because of social media, because of general media, and the reality of being able to show someone what is occurring directly in front of you in the matter of a second, a millisecond. You think about it and you can show them what is happening in front of you with your devices. That is untold power to humanity if we're looking from humanity since history, and that has brought about some changes. So I think that may very well be a combination of those. Historians said this is the most peaceful period. I agree. I am not speaking about peace. I'm talking about craziness. I'm not talking about whether the world is at peace, because the world war is actually much more common to humanity. That's actually a much more common thing. What allowed this era to be a bit more peaceful, I think, has actually been nuclear weapons. So we know that most of those countries know that they can't really fight each other. If they really fight each other, they're going to blow up everyone. So it has that deterrent level. If they really fight each other, they're going to blow up. I don't know anything about that, Mr. Fayad Mohammed. I cannot corroborate that. There's no way I could possibly know that. I don't know anything about that, Mr. Fayad Mohammed. So I think this does have quite a bit of changes, and it's making social media and not social media. It's making social interactions a lot stranger than humans were accustomed to. Something that came out even out of the divers was someone recorded footage of their bodies and posted it online. Someone recorded footage of their bodies. Acting Commissioner of Police disgusted by 14-second video images of divers' bodies on social media. Having endured 4 days of pain and heartbreak, not knowing the fate of their loved ones trapped in an underwater pipeline, the families of 3 of the divers were further traumatized yesterday when videos and photographs of their bodies emerged on social media. The 3 bodies, partly wrapped in body bags, were recorded in a 14-second video and uploaded to social media. Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacobs said yesterday he was disgusted by what he had seen, and Jacobs said if it was determined that a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service was involved, action would be taken. Now, I think this has to be someone in a position of authority, because the family members themselves were pleading to see the bodies, and they could not see the bodies. So it's pretty obvious that access to the bodies of these divers was not for just any and everyone. And someone with the privileged access, being very likely someone charged with working in an emergency, saw it fit that you have that kind of responsibility. You had that kind of responsibility, and you saw it fit to take a video of it and pictures, and then to top it off, the part that always really gets me, because I could understand taking a video and a picture, etc., for your own posterity. Even if you're just a little weird, you like to take pictures of those things and keep it. Okay, I'm still willing to give you a blight for that one. But to take a video and then post it online, like I would really like whoever did this, whenever you're caught, I really do hope you are caught. Whenever you're caught and you make your jail and you finish or whatever, come, let's have a discussion. I would like to know the thought process of this. Like, what is the thought process? I am going to take this video of these deceased people. This isn't about news, because everyone already knows that the bodies have been recovered. People know this already. We are not, by me releasing this, I am not sending out news. I am not showing some kind of suspicious manner the bodies were found to point out or highlight something strange for investigation. This has zero news value. I am just going to take this. The family have not yet seen their loved ones and upload it to social media. The family have not yet seen their loved ones. Maybe trying to uncover a cover-up. A cover-up of what? That's my point. If they took a picture of the bodies and showed some kind of suspicious markings on the bodies, or showed the bodies where they were recovered and showed they were recovered where they should not have been, or something of the such, well, that would have still made sense. That would have still made sense. But what are you showing now that proves a cover-up? Oil on the body doesn't prove a cover-up, because the guy who was recovered was covered in oil already. Everyone knows they were in oil. That's already known. You are not releasing new information by showing that picture. Everyone knows they were in oil. That's already known. So I don't get it. I don't get it. The PP leader said there was no bodies. But that's, again, you don't need to release pictures for that. The family has already gone down to, by now they have already gone down to the Forensic Science Center, and they have identified the bodies. They have seen their family members with their own eyes and have identified them. You don't have to release a picture and a video to prove that the bodies have been found. The family identifies the bodies. So again, that one still doesn't make sense to me. The family identifies the bodies. So again, that one still doesn't make sense to me. Fayad Mohammed says the pipeline wasn't used in 20 years. How was it possible for oil to smudge the bodies? Sir, you are asking questions I do not know the answer to. And several experts are asking similar, very, very pertinent questions. And several experts are asking. It was unnecessary, but the same could be said of all victims whose pics are taken. I agree. That's the thing. That's not something that That's not something that I disagree with. I have said this before. When you were in the live, Mr. Richard Glubman, when I was speaking about the Sexual Offences Act, where they are punishing people for recording and releasing people's private, generally nude or sexually explicit content. Even if the person was in public and you're trying to just show, hey, look what this person doing in public, and you record it and release it, yeah, you can make a little time. And I was saying that I find that should extend to bodies. I said that since back then. I find that should extend to people's dead bodies. A dead person cannot give you permission to take their picture. They are in a vulnerable, if you use the word vulnerable, but they are in probably the most vulnerable state as a human being, as a body, at least in terms of respect to the family, because the person themselves aren't there anymore. But that is insane to me that it could be seen as okay for someone to take a picture there and upload it online. I find that should be treated just like you took a picture of some nude person that they didn't want you to take and you uploaded it online. Listen, we should treat it like every person, once deceased, has de facto withdrawn their permission from you taking their picture and posting it online. Let it be that if someone wants their picture taken when they are dead, they must sign a document in their life. Let it be like organ donation, for you to take a picture of a dead person and post it online. And I think we really need to be looking into some laws like this, because society is changing. The manner we live in is changing now. So we need to change some of the setup of the laws that we are using. So yeah, I think that may be a very good idea. You have taking pictures of deceased ones, like organ donation. The only way you could take a picture of me when I'm deceased is if I signed something while I'm living telling you you can do so. Because I find it preposterous. It is ridiculous. Listen to the experts, or at least the people who used to work there, who are qualified to talk. Then we will get what really went on. Recreate 2020 says. I kinda agree, and to be fair to myself, I spoke about an expert last night. We went through some of the questions that an expert was asking. That was the expert that the news they got. And tonight I have another expert for you. This expert is from The Guardian now. Guardian, divers should have been sent in for early rescue. This is to negate the guy on the first night when I was speaking about this. A guy was there and he was saying like this was an impossible thing. Well, I couldn't negate it because I'm not an expert diver, but this man is an expert and he is saying divers could have been sent in much sooner. For 6 hours after, 4 divers found themselves trapped inside a 30-inch diameter seabed pipeline connecting Paria's berths 5 and 6 platforms off Point a Pair. Retired Superintendent Vishnu Ramjatan hurriedly tried to contact officials, hoping to give guidance on what could have been done to save the men. But as the hours passed and the rescue mission was aborted, Ramjatan knew that all 4 men would not have survived. Speaking to Guardian Media yesterday, Ramjatan, a former Petrotrain worker, said it was a mistake not to send in fresh divers to save the 4 men immediately after they were sucked into the vortex and the differential pressure on the pipeline became stable. He believes people panicked and Paria fuel trading officials bungled the operation by not making the right decisions. Right. So, an expert here. Right. So, I am not Jeffrey. People are saying it's the manager's incompetence, but was it incompetence or was it narrow policies? I am not sure. If it was policies, either way, it would still be the management's fault for policies. But this gets a bit deeper. We'll get into some of this, and it goes into history. short-staff the operation.
We'll get into some of this, and it goes.
If you had divers available, you could have sent someone to rescue them. Take the chance, he explained. With 30 years of experience himself, Ramjatan said he knew the entire Western area, and understood what could have triggered the tsunami-like vortex, which trapped the men inside. The divers who met their demise inside a 30-inch diameter pipeline died a horrible death. If you remove this expansion plug and the level of water come up in the pipe, it will go down with a tsunami type effect. It will pull everybody in line. Nobody could withstand that, he said. He also knew what could have been done to prevent the vortex. When they remove the expansion plug, they should keep the compressor running on 3 to 5 psi. People with intrinsically safe radios will have to be on the hyperbaric chamber inside and on the barge on the surface while monitoring the level of this water. If that level changes to come up, they have to seal that entry because you will have that differential effect of vortex and everyone would be sucked in, he explained. I think I understand what he's talking about there. Good night, when the medium excel. I think I understand basically what he's talking about there. When they remove the cap, the water dropped, causing a suction effect, pulling down whoever was there. He was not there. So I presume he is speaking on his expert knowledge, what he thinks happened. Calling for a proper investigation, Ramjatan said if found guilty, officials should be charged with criminal negligence.
For a proper investigation,
having worked on the platforms, Ramjatan drew a map, noting that ideally at least 12 men, inclusive of 6 divers, should have been part of the operation. He said 4 divers should have been on the surface, an independent diver should have been on site, and there should have been a compressor attendant, a supervisor, a senior supervisor, and a manager of operations. Someone said something about short staff. I don't know. These are questions that would need to be answered. Were all these people on site? It seems like they were not. And if they were not, would it be the fault of the contractor? Would it be that the contractor did something shortcut? Or would it be that Paria, together with the contractor, were running shortcut style work as a practice? Because that could also be it. That Paria knows the reason they get things done in this way with this price and this timing is because shortcuts are run. Paria could have known that too. So that it being partly culpable on the contractor doesn't remove Paria from culpability either. He also said a radius of 50 feet should have been maintained around the platform.
He also said
the divers come right. He's saying he has not slept in 4 days since the incident. Ramjatan recalled the tragedy which occurred on the high seas on October 17, 1985, when an offshore platform erupted in flames, killing 14 people. Arising out of that tragedy, safety protocols were hammered out. Ramjatan said these guidelines should have been in place to date to ensure another such tragedy does not occur. Now, here is the creepy part of all of this. Here's the creepy part about all of this. He is saying this accident, he's speaking about the tragedy that happened in 1985 that killed 14 people. It happened in the same area. And someone in the live was telling me about this 2 nights ago, about this same incident. And they were mentioning that someone who died, one of the divers, their father died in the same accident in 1985 in that same location. The tragedies of the births. On one October day in 1985, 4 men employed to do work on number 5 berth in the waters of Pointe-à-Pierre made decisions that allowed them second lives. They didn't go to work. Around midday, the waters around berth 5 exploded into flames. There were 14 men there. Several were burned to the point where they were unrecognizable. Others jumped into the water. Those alive in the water took a breath and inhaled fire.
Others jumped
If
into
you
water.
were only
Those alive
found
in
the
the water
following day
took a breath
underwater,
and inhaled
embracing the pilings.
If you
One
were
man
only
survived
found
the
the
conflagration.
following day
Emergency
underwater,
responders plucked him from the
embracing
water
the pilings.
alive, but he
One man
died
survived
soon
the
after being
conflagration.
taken to shore.
Emergency
His name
responders plucked him from the
was
water
Ramjan
alive,
Kurban.
but he died
37
soon after
years
being taken
later,
to shore.
his son
His name
Faisal
was
Kurban
Ramjan
would die in
Kurban.
the very same
37
area
years
while
later,
working
his son
on the
Faisal
very
Kurban
same
would die
pipeline.
in the very same area while working on the very same pipeline.
From the accounts given so far, Faisal Kurban was the head
The
diver
accounts given so far,
in this dive.
Faisal Kurban
Faisal Kurban
was
was also the one
head
who
diver
saved the one diver
in this
that
dive.
escaped. He was the
Faisal
one
Kurban
who shared
was
his
also the
air
one
and
who
pushed him
saved
out of the
one
pipeline.
diver that escaped. He
His
was the
two
one
sons
who
are
shared
divers.
his air
His
and
son
pushed him
was
out
the
of
one
pipeline.
that pulled the
His
first
two
diver
sons
up.
are divers.
So his son
was the one that
heard
pulled
the first diver tell him
first
that
diver up.
Faizi right there,
his
Faizi
son
being his father, he
heard
went back
the
down
first
to look
diver
for him and
tell
they couldn't find him
that
on that one when he
Faizi
went back down.
right there, Faizi being
Yes,
his
he was the
father.
one right
He
behind.
went back down to look
The
for
head
him and they
diver.
couldn't find him on that one when
His
he went.
father died
Yes,
right
he was the
there.
one right behind. The head diver. His
That
father
is some
died
heavy
right
stuff.
there.
That is some heavy stuff. The accident
That is
The
some
accident,
heavy
basically, how it worked out was
That is some
it
heavy
was a steamboat,
The accident,
and
basically,
they
how it
were
worked
doing
out
construction in that
it
area.
was a
Steamboat obviously needs fire,
steamboat,
and
and
they're throwing
they
coal
were
inside of the
doing
berth to,
construction in
make
that
sure
area.
it stays,
Steamboat
make sure it
obviously needs
stays
fire,
running, and that's how it
they're
gets its
throwing
power.
coal inside of the
And
berth to, make sure
unknown
it
to
stays-
them,
make sure it stays
there was a
running,
leak
and
in
that's
the
how it
pipe,
gets its power.
and when they
unknown
lifted off
to
the
them,
cover of the riser,
there was a
gas
leak in the
escaped
pipe,
and flooded the entire area
when
unknown to
they
them.
lifted off the
So it
cover
was
of the
presumed
riser,
when they
gas
fired up the
escaped
furnace
and
for the
flooded
steam
the entire
engine,
area unknown to them. So
it
was
went off.
presumed when they fired up the furnace for the steam
it is a
engine,
dangerous job. It is a dangerous
went
job.
off.
But the expert previously
It is
was
a
saying that
dangerous job.
based on
It
this
is a
very
dangerous
same
job.
incident,
But the
safety
expert
measures were put
previously
in
was
place
saying that
with the
based on this
intention
very
that
same
such a thing
incident,
never happens
safety measures
again.
were put in place
And
with
for
the
it to happen
intention
in the
that
same
such a thing
place,
never happens again.
and for it to now seem like
for
when
it
you
to
when
happen
we read
in the
an
same
expert
place,
was speaking last night, we read
and
this
for it to now
and we read what
seem
an expert said
like
last
when
night,
you-
we read
when
what an
we
expert
read
said
an
tonight.
expert
On
was
the first night,
last
two men who
night, we
work
read
in the
this
industry and
expert-
worked
we read what an
alongside
expert
with
said
these
last
men
night, we read
were
what an
on the
expert
live
said
and they
tonight.
spoke about
On
their
the first
experiences
night,
too.
two men who work
And
in
to
the
give
industry
props
and
to the
worked
guys who
alongside with
spoke,
these
that
men
was
were
Monday
on the
night it
live
was,
and they
to
spoke
give
about
props to
their
those guys who spoke in
experiences
the
too.
live then,
And to give
nearly
props to the
everything
guys
they
who
said
spoke,
has
that
been
was
basically
Monday night it
corroborated
was,
by the
to give
experts
props to
since
those
then.
guys who
So
spoke in the live then, nearly
most of
everything
what
they
the
said
experts are
has
saying
been
here
basically
is that
corroborated
this
by the
thing
experts
seems to
since
have
then.
been
So,
avoidable. It doesn't seem
most
to
of
be
what the
like it was
experts
just
are
one of
saying
those
here
freak
is
accidents that you're
this
like,
thing
wow, how
seems
this
to
could have
been
ever happened. It
avoided.
seems
It doesn't seem to
like
be like it was just
for a
one of those
large
freak
part,
accidents that you're
this
like,
was
wow, how
very
this could have ever
avoidable.
happened. It seems like for a large part,
yeah,
this was very
that's some heavy
avoidable.
stuff when you think about it that way. That is some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And
That's some heavy stuff when you think about it that way. That is some heavy stuff. And
in this case, you're wondering, like, $1 billion question. Okay,
You're
what is going to happen
wondering,
after? Is this going to be swept
like,
under the rug? Who is going to hold that
$1
level of
billion
responsibility?
question.
I do
what is
not
going
know.
to happen after? Is
I
it
do
going
not
to be
know.
swept under the rug? Who is going to hold
The
that level of responsibility? I do not know.
the nature of this incident, the investigation obviously will be called quickly. But as many things happen in this country. I made a video, contemplation, calling us committee country. Calling us committee country because we're the country that makes committees. We make investigative committees, all kinds of committees, very regularly. But I wonder sometimes if it's kind of just a strategy, you know, like when things heat up on a specific incident, what the government would do is they would say, okay, we're making a committee, we're hiring all the best experts that we can find. We throw together 5 people, 5 real experts in this subject area, and we throw them together, and okay, they would decide on this. All right, good. And then the heat of the moment passes. Whatever was the incident blows over. People's attention spans are only so long. And the committee, whatever the committee investigates, they release it in a document 1,200 pages long. With who knows if there's any valuable information in there, but there's a lot of information. No one is going to read that. No one pays any attention to it. They give you a general summary of the parts that they want to give you, and the rest is just left there. When the 5-member committee that investigated our healthcare system, their investigation, the Stuart Young, our Minister of Everything, said that he was releasing that into the Parliament records. As of the last time I checked, it was not there. It was not there. So they launched that committee. The committee did an investigation. They gave us a summary of what they read, and we don't even know the full length of the investigation. But the investigation was able to push off some of the added extra heat when it was coming in the moment. Because remember, when they first formed that healthcare committee was when this whole vaccine mandate over the public service, and the unions were kicking a fuss, and the unions were talking about how do we count the deaths over in Trinidad here? How exactly are we counting the deaths? All those questions were floating around. A committee was launched. So you can't tell the government that they aren't doing anything. They hired the experts, that they did their best. They hired the experts, gave the experts 3 weeks and told them, you come back and tell us all that is wrong. And that's that. Committees and investigation. And that's that. I am not very hopeful, unfortunately. I wish I was hopeful. I wish I was hopeful about it, but I really am not. It's just what it is. I wish I was hopeful. I wish I was hopeful about it, but I really am not. It's just what it is. This place will strangle the hope out of you, Kangaroo Committee. Yeah, it could feel like that sometimes. But as I keep saying, as technology changes, who knows the opportunities that can be created inside of that. All right, let's go to some different news. I don't know if you may find it better news, but it's certainly different news. It's about economics. Let's touch on some economics. Good night, by Mario, man. Nice to have you here. What's going on with my property tax now and the forced public servant vaccination? Nothing is going on with any of those things. Nothing goes on with anything until someone makes enough of a scene about it, and then it comes in. Yeah, sure. That's when it's going to come. But let's get into some economic news here. And then it comes in. Yeah, sure. That's when it's going to Double palm in. Rises in midst of pandemic. In March 2020, the Double Palm Inn opened its 11th branch in this country, located at Petersfield in Felicity, Chaguanas. And while during the 2-year period since then, many businesses have been struggling to keep their doors open because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which arrived on this country's shores that same month, Double Palm has managed to open 4 more branches. On Saturday, Double Palm opened its latest branch at Soledad Road in Claxton Bay. That now brings their total number of branches to 15. Since the pandemic, Double Palm has also opened branches at Jasper Street in Diego Martin, Railway Road in Princestown, and Tumpuna Road South, Arima. Double Palm is wowing expectations during the pandemic. Double Palm
is wowing expectation.
Blue Zabuka says Double Palm doubled their money while everyone was double dealing. Double Palm is a motel, a guest house. A Tobago branch is said to be currently in the works. The Tumpuna Road South branch is less than a kilometer away from the Tumpuna Road North branch. I noticed that Double Palm opening branches like KFC. You know, how KFC is so wanted in Trinidad and Tobago that KFC would have multiple outlets in one city. Double Palm is doing the same thing. Double Palm is doubling up within close proximity of each other, and apparently Arima has high demand. The largest Double Palm Inn is located along Manzanilla Road in Mayaru and was opened in March 2019. The branch is said to have 30 rooms spread evenly between upstairs and downstairs. Double Palm offers hourly rates ranging from $150 for 2 hours to $600 for 24 hours. The entire first part of this article literally sounds like an advertisement for Double Palm. It literally sounds like an advertisement. And anytime you see, I remember when I was younger, before I really understood what these kinds of guest houses meant, I was always so confused when I saw guest houses and motels, and some places call themselves hotels, and I saw them charging hourly rates. And my little childish understanding of what a hotel is who goes to a hotel and stays for 1 or 2 hours? I was most perplexed and confused as a little child about that. Like, why are these motels and hotels charging by the hour? They don't expect you to stay there very long. That's why. They do not expect you to be there very long. According to the company's registry online search facility on the Legal Affairs website, Double Palm was incorporated on 5th of August 2019. And Double Palm is owned. They have that also here in this article. Double Palm is owned by Guyanese-born businessman Rajendra May. May is also the owner of Army Hardware and Superstore Company, which was incorporated in 2016 and has the same address as Double Palm in Army Hardware has 2 locations, Chase Village and Aruka. And if you live Chase Village, Army would be a very familiar name to you. You would know that name. Army spreads wildly there. And there are many accusations that fly. You know, accusations go about people that build wealth very quickly and acquire a lot of assets very quickly, how those accusations tend to go. There are such accusations. On February 6th, May also had a grand opening for a 39-room hotel located at Farm Road, Aruka, called Piako Palace. Yeah, just leave the people TV alone, please. Yeah, that guy was really dumb. The place has cameras, and you going in there to steal their TV. Wow, that's what you're going to get put up for. All right. Businessman and sex therapist Dr. Raj sought to explain the attraction to guest houses in general and Double Palm in particular. It is a flourishing industry, and over time a brand can be so famous and so ubiquitous that people associate that with the action, Ramnanan said. In a post last year, Double Palm noted that it became the preferred guest house. Ramnanan said guest houses are nothing new in this country. All over the country has hole-in-the-wall guest houses, but now you have established guest houses like Double Palm who cater for persons who are looking for a rendezvous. Let's put things in perspective. Trinidad society likes this kind of clandestine kind of movement. So we are always tiffing a chance. Whether you are tiffing a chance in a parking lot, you are tiffing a chance in a fete, or against the wall, it's all the same thing, Ramnanan says. Ramnanan said there is a guest house named Paradise that has been opened opposite Rienzi Complex for as long as he knows himself. Anywhere you turn, they have these things, you know. It's just that now you have enterprise enterprising businessmen who decided they are going to open a chain of these things all over the country, and they are thriving.
Who decided they are going to open a chain of these things all over the country.
No, I don't think they do double. I don't think they do real. I don't think that's their kind of clientele.
No, I don't think they do double. I don't.
Ramnanan said,
I don't think that's their kind of clientele.
If you have somebody coming to use your place for a couple of hours and they are paying you $350, that is US $50, and it costs you nothing. You can turn over one room 3 or 4 times for the day, Ramnanan said. Ramnanan said proper sanitation measures have to be undertaken, especially during this time of the pandemic. And to be fair to Double Palm, they built one massive warehouse in Central. Well, relatively massive. They built a sizable building here in Central, and they have all their dry cleaning done there. You could literally drive past the building and it's basically going 24/7 with piles and piles and piles of wet sheets. If someone wants to collect all of the genetic material for Trinidad, if someone wants a general sample of Trinidad's genetic material, they may be able to go to Army's dry cleaners there in Orangefield, not too far away from me, and take some samples from that dry cleaners. You don't even need the cloth. Just the rinse water that comes out after may give you a rainbow of all of Trinidad's genetic material. But yeah, they're doing that. They're turning this into a full-on business. They are. And they are taking over with it. He saw a need and he decided to give the supply. Now, the strange thing is,
now, the strange thing is
23 and everybody.
The strange thing is
not 23 and me, 23 and everybody. Correct. No, I have not, Author Malcolm. Yes, he is. Well,
23 and me, 23 and everybody.
as I said, Richard Globman, the accusations. That's how I'd put that.
Yes, he is.
And a while back, he was one of the most fervent sponsors of Crime Watch in the 80s. And if you know of many of the sponsors of Crime Watch, like if you think about the sponsors of Crime Watch general, okay, let's not go into that anymore. All right, and strangely enough, this business has been booming so much in this downtime. Sorry, where many of the other hotels in the country have been taking a lot of licks. They have been taking a lot of licks. A lot of the hotels have been under serious problems. Why what, Richard Globman? You'd have to specify what you're saying why today. I'm not sure which why is that. Thought of it before, but had not the money, so kudos to him. Well, he certainly has the money. Of course he does.
The money, so kudos to him.
So yeah,
well, he certainly has the money.
There.
So yeah.
Why was it? I don't know why it was. I don't know why it was, sir. You're asking me the wrong questions. You need to ask the host of that show that. I host Mindful Live. I could answer for Mindful Live. And in Mindful Live, I'm saying that many other hotels were underwater during this time. Occupancy went down. Occupancy went really, really low. And they were struggling while Army was up. And even Prestige Holdings, KFC owners, they reported a loss. Prestige pays price as pandemic continues to challenge business. Prestige Holding continues to be negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, as in the fiscal year 2021, revenue decreased by 21% to 712 million, and this resulted in a loss after tax of 28.3 million. So they had a loss this year. Now, I wouldn't doubt that nearly all of their revenue came from KFC. I believe KFC was still profitable this year. Even during the pandemic, I think KFC was still profitable. It was the other guys that were dragging the flag. Prestige, as long as they hold on to KFC, they're good. They're real good.
It was the other guys that were dragging the flag. Prestige, as long as they hold on to KFC, they're good. They're real good.
But something strange is going on during this pandemic too. Something to add to all of the goings on. Good night, United Cornbread.
Something to add to all of the going.
This goes to show,
Good night,
Ricky
United
Mortimer says, this goes to show lockdown can't even stop Mother Nature.
This goes to show, Ricky Mortimer says, this goes to show.
Now,
lockdown
interesting
can't
on the
even
business
stop
side
Mother
now,
Nature.
especially in this pandemic. A lot of businesses depend on investors.
Interesting on the business
Like
side,
even in
especially
this case with
pandemic.
Prestige Holdings.
A lot of businesses
Prestige,
depend
one of the
on
ways they said how
Even
they were
in
still
this
going
case with
strong.
Prestige
They were talking about their
Prestige,
debt
one
to
of the ways
equity
they meant
ratio
they said
remains
how
strong,
they
etc.,
were
etc.
still going
So
strong.
that's
They were
that's
saying-
talk for their
they were talking about
investors,
debt to
because
equity
investors
ratio
are the ones that
strong,
put
etc.,
money
etc.
into your
So
company,
that's
and
that's
especially
talk
how
for
a
their
lot of companies
investors,
run
because
in modern
investors
times.
are the
Sometimes
ones
some
that
of those
put money
companies
into your
don't even
company.
fully need
And
to be profitable
especially how a
because
lot
they
of
have
companies run in
investments
modern
running
times.
them.
Sometimes
Some of those companies have investment money being poured in. That's why they don't fully care about what some of their customers say. They go along more with their investors than their customers, because they make more money off of their investors than their customers. So the investors have a lot more say, and that begins to be problematic.
So the investors.
This is an article in Trinidad. Now, I don't know how many of you in the live. I know if the brothers were if the twins were here, they're generally deep in on the conspiracy side. They were generally deep in on the conspiracy side. If they were here, they would know this. But I don't know how many of you know about ESG, the environment, social, and governance policies.
I don't know how many of you.
PwC ESG policies sway investors. Now, this is a local article. Environmental, social, and governance factors have become crucial to investors across the world. A study conducted by PwC has found. The PwC 2021 Global Investor ESG Survey was conducted online, yada, yada, yada. The article goes into a lot of specifics, but the general idea is there's this new bit of this new
bit of
realm that they look into now. And the problem with this is who controls it. They're saying that investors now look at, you have an ESG score. You get a score based upon how good you are to the environment, climate change and all of that, how good you are in your social policies, and how good you are in ultimately how you aid proper governance in your country. So it's basically trying for the company to be more morally upstanding. That sounds like a beautiful idea. Now they're trying to get an incentive to make companies be more morally upstanding. That seems like a great idea. You have now this little group, this little ESG factor that we look at, and this determines whether you get good investment. And if you are a good company, you do a lot of charitable things, you take care of the environment, you would have a high ESG score. And if you have a high ESG score, then you would get more investment. Unfortunately, there's one company that controls the ESG score.
Unfortunately,
one main company, BlackRock, the largest investment company in the world. And basically, what they do is let's say you have a pension fund. The pension fund will give them to manage it. They would manage this pension fund, and they will reinvest this pension fund as they see fit. So the money that they are investing is not even their money in the first place. It's the money of your pension fund. It's the money very likely of NIB, of the national insurance, of your insurance funds. It's many of those funds, many little pools of money all around the world that are invested into these people who are supposed to be experts in finance to reinvest it and make money for the primary investors. Now, this company now has this ESG score that determines how much money they would invest in a company. So they are using the money of the common man to move global policy. And the problem with that is this moves global policy without democratic choice.
The problem with that
You see,
is
they would be
this
able
global
to get
policy
many massive multinational companies, billion-dollar companies, to make decisions that they want. The whole global reset is based basically in a side of this, where you have this ESG score, and it's what they call the social credit system, where it determines how valuable you are to your investors. So it monitors your behavior and it rewards you based on your behavior like that. And the problem with that, monitoring behavior and rewarding based on behavior is a common human thing, but it isn't a common human thing when it's controlled by a few billionaires out there in Davos in Switzerland. That's not how it's supposed to run. But this ESG policy business is going to do just that. You see, if your ESG score is too low, you don't get investors, your company can go bankrupt. They force you into doing policies based upon their agenda, whatever their agenda might be. And some of their agenda is not ideal.
Whatever their agenda might be.
What they want for the common man, generally speaking, is not what the common man would want for himself. Let's put it that way.
What they want for the common man, generally speaking.
That's all I have for now for you folks over on Instagram and YouTube. I'll be over on TikTok for a very short while after, so I hope you were entertained, informed, or educated, and you could join me over on TikTok if you would like for a little while after. If not, I will see you again tomorrow for the next Mindful Live at 9:30. Until then,
I will see you again tomorrow for the next